Welcome to P Stories. Greetings, fellow wanderers of the strange and unexplained. The narrator name is Prin, and tonight, the narrator invites you to journey with him back 23 years to a remote, untouched wilderness above a forgotten dam. It was a place of breathtaking beauty, yet it held secrets. And on that trip, the narrator and his friends learned a chilling lesson that would forever change our perception of the natural world. This isn't just a tale of youthful adventure. It's a profound reminder that some places and some things are best left undisturbed. Our story begins during a school break, a time usually filled with carefree travel. My friends and I were part of a band, and our teacher typically led our annual trips. But this year, for reasons unknown, he couldn't. That's when a friend, let's call him A, stepped in with an irresistible offer. Let's go camping in the forest. My parents will pay for everything: the van, food, accommodation, all free. As high school kids with empty pockets, it sounded like a dream come true. 6 of us quickly agreed, and we rented a van, eager for adventure. Our destination was a national park, a wild, newly opened area above a dam, very fresh and undeveloped, bordering a neighboring country. The journey itself was an adventure. Though only about 2.5 hours from city by the time we started, getting to the actual forest involved a challenging 3 to 4 hour drive from the nearest provincial town. The roads were rough, muddy in parts, and at one point we even had to put our van on a small boat to cross a river. It was exhilarating, a true wilderness experience unlike anything we'd seen before. When we finally arrived, it was early morning, around 5:30 a.m. The campsite was magnificent, a vast, beautiful clearing with an expansive body of water stretching as far as the eye could see in front of us. Behind loomed an immense, dense forest and mountain range, incredibly raw and untamed, with almost no modern development save for a small park official center and a single spotlight. There were only 3 other camping groups besides ours, scattered far apart. We set up our tents, reveling in the stunning natural beauty around us. Around 3 p.m., A, who claimed to have visited this spot before with his family, suggested we explore a hidden, more spectacular part of the forest. We agreed, and he led the way. The path was narrow, suitable for single-file walking, with ropes guiding us and preventing us from straying astray. This waterfall had multiple tiers, and each ascent took about 20 to 15 minutes. As we climbed, we saw other tourists descending, which reassured us, making the environment seem safe. We enjoyed the trek, spotting various animals like monkeys along the way. We reached the 4th tier of the waterfall, a truly beautiful spot, where A encouraged us to swim. But then something strange happened. A whispered to me, "Hey, I need to go over there for a minute. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, follow me." I agreed, and he walked off towards the edge of the forest. My friends and I, with our trusty new digital cameras, continued to take photos and splash in the water. After more than 5 minutes passed, I looked towards where A had gone. He wasn't there. My friend B and I went to find him. About 5 minutes into our search, we spotted A. He was walking erratically, looking around as if desperately searching for something, his face pale and strained. When we asked what was wrong, he simply said, "Nothing," his voice tight, and urged us to return. I pressed him, and he finally admitted, "I saw something strange. I was trying to put something down, but I couldn't find the right spot." He insisted we leave the waterfall immediately, saying he couldn't stand it anymore. Seeing his genuine distress, we quickly gathered our things. But as we tried to find our way back, a new horror unfolded. The path, which we had just walked, had vanished. All 6 of us, with our flashlights, searched frantically, but it was gone. We tried calling the park officials, but there was no phone signal. Then the forest, which had been alive with the chirping of insects and birds, suddenly went deathly silent. Birds scattered, and then As if someone had hit a mute button, all sound ceased completely, leaving only the gentle murmur of the stream. A chill ran down our spines. We looked at each other, our hearts pounding. We were trapped, and something was terribly wrong. With no other choice, we decided to follow the stream downwards, hoping it would lead us back to the campsite. We sang songs to keep our spirits up and ease A's tension as we carefully descended. After about 15 minutes, we reached the third tier. It was there that the atmosphere grew even more ominous. A massive cloud suddenly enveloped the sky, plunging us into a darkness so profound it was like a total solar eclipse. An icy mist, like dry ice creeping from a concert stage, began to rise from the roots of the trees and the water, making the air incredibly cold. Fear gripped us. A, overwhelmed, began to cry hysterically. The stream, which was our only path, became a steep cliff, forcing us to abandon it and venture deeper into the dark, unknown forest. It was then that A whispered to me again, his voice trembling, "I see them. Everywhere I look, I see people standing in the distance, staring at us." I didn't see them clearly, but I felt it too, a persistent sensation of being watched from the corner of my eye. We all confessed to feeling the same chilling presence. Just as despair began to set in, a glimmer of hope appeared, a flashlight beam. Against all wilderness wisdom, we screamed for help. To our immense relief, it was two park officials who had come looking for us. They seemed overjoyed to find us. One of them immediately took off his Buddha amulet and put it around A's neck, telling him not to be afraid and that he would be safe. And here's where it gets truly bizarre. The moment the officials appeared, the exit path which we had searched for so desperately was suddenly visible right in front of us. We had looked everywhere, 6 pairs of eyes, but couldn't find it. Yet with the officials present, it was plain as day. The forest seemed to revert to normal. The unnatural darkness lifted, the rain stopped, and the sounds of animals returned, as if a remote control had turned everything back on. The officials led us swiftly back to the campsite, where the sun was now setting beautifully, a stark contrast to the terror we had just endured. They instructed us to stay within the campsite's safety and emphasized that A must never remove the amulet. Later that evening, after we had had a chance to calm down, I pressed A about what had happened. He was reluctant at first, but after some persuasion, he finally confessed the truth, his voice barely a whisper. He had been to this very spot, the 4th waterfall tier, with his family during the New Year holiday. There, he found a beautiful, crystallized stone, shimmering with emerald green and pink hues. Enchanted by its beauty, he decided to take it home as a souvenir. A park official had seen him with it and warned him to return it the next day, stating firmly, "Don't touch anything from here. You must return it to its exact spot tomorrow." But A hadn't returned it, and ever since he took that stone, his life at home became a living nightmare. He felt constantly watched when alone, as if he was never truly by himself. He'd be poked awake, experience disturbing dreams, and sometimes he'd catch glimpses of figures standing outside his windows, staring at him, only to vanish when he turned to look directly. He knew these were not mere hallucinations. The presence was real, intensifying over time from subtle pokes to stronger disturbances. It felt like a force beyond his control was actively threatening him. A realized the stone was the source of his torment, and that whatever was attached to it wanted it back. He had planned this trip to the forest solely to return the stone, but he was too afraid to tell his parents or us the real reason. Instead, he fabricated the story about his parents sponsoring a fun trip for us.
His desperate attempt to place the stone back earlier at the waterfall had failed. He couldn't find the exact spot. The night was not over. Around midnight, as I lay in my tent, I heard footsteps outside, shuffling back and forth. I peeked out and saw 2-3 figures, thinking they might be officials or friends. When I unzipped my tent to go to the restroom, the footsteps and figures vanished instantly. As I returned, I saw several figures standing at the edge of the forest, and I instinctively put my hands together in a respectful prayer or gesture, hoping for protection and apologizing for any unintended offense. Moments after I laid down, my phone rang. It was A, his voice on the other end shaking uncontrollably, screaming, "Help me! I'm so scared! I don't know where I am!" The call was cutting in and out, making it hard to understand, and then it disconnected. Panicked, my friends and I tried to call him back but couldn't get through. We grabbed our flashlights and rushed to A's tent. He was gone. The only thing left was the Buddha amulet the official had given him, lying on the ground in front of his tent. We immediately ran to the park officials. As I showed them the amulet, they simply said, "Ah, yes," as if they had anticipated this. Without us saying another word, they prepared for a search, asking only for A's last known location from the call. 2 officials, along with 2 of us, plunged back into the forest. It was pitch black, so dark you couldn't even see your own hand. The forest at night was far more terrifying than any horror movie. The officials, however, seemed to know exactly where they were going, leading us directly back to the 4th tier of the waterfall, the very spot A had vanished from earlier. They called out for him, but there was no reply, and still no phone signal. After about 10-15 minutes of searching through the dense undergrowth, we found A. He was lying on the ground, screaming incoherently near a massive ancient tree adorned with multicolored cloths and small offerings. These cloths signify a sacred or revered tree, often believed to house spirits or deities. The officials immediately put the amulet back on A, and we struggled to carry his shaking body back to the official station. Back at the station, A was in a deep state of shock, completely disoriented. The officials immediately contacted their colleagues, arranging for offerings of flowers, incense, and other ritual items to be brought the next morning, acknowledging that this was clearly a spiritual issue tied to the place. For our safety, all 6 of us were told to sleep at the official station that night. The next morning, after A had regained some composure, he finally poured out the full story about the stone. As soon as the offerings arrived, the officials, along with all of us, took the stone to the very same sacred tree where A had been found. There they performed a ritual, with A asking for forgiveness and returning the stone, vowing that he had no intention of stealing it, that it was a foolish mistake. The official then explained, with a grave expression, the nature of this place. He revealed that the dam itself was known for frequent drownings, with 3 or 4 people every year. More importantly, he stressed that the forest, especially being a border region, was home to many forest spirits and local deities or guardians. He had seen many similar cases where people, ignorant or disrespectful, took things from the forest. Everything in nature, no matter how small, has an owner. Even a seemingly insignificant rock or a piece of wood. When you take something that isn't yours, especially from a sacred place, you risk angering its owner or attracting unwanted attention. He reiterated that the spirits guard their possessions fiercely, and those who take them without permission often find themselves haunted until the item is returned. He advised us that from now on, wherever we travel, if we see something beautiful, we should simply admire it, take photos, and leave it there. And if we encounter any shrines or sacred spots, we should always offer a respectful why to acknowledge the spirits and ask for their protection. This terrifying adventure became a profound lesson for all of us. Since that day, my friends and I have never dared to take anything, no matter how small, from any natural place we visit. We carry the memory, the photographs, but never a physical piece of the land. Because sometimes the most beautiful souvenirs are the ones you leave behind, honoring the unseen guardians of the wild. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey into the supernatural, please consider showing your support. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these fascinating stories.